Imagine a lone woman on a storm-battered rock in the Baltic Sea, July 1941, her boots slipping on wet stone as waves crash against the 28-meter tower of Kerry Island Lighthouse, 15 km from Tallinn, her scarf whipping in wind gusting over 20 meters per second, her hands cracked from salt and cold, her eyes scanning a horizon littered with floating mines that could detonate with a single touch. By day, Vera, 32, born in Kronstadt in 1909, trained as a lighthouse keeper since 1935, repairs the 1912 Swedish Aga lamp, its gears grinding, its Fresnel lens fogged with spray, her fingers tightening bolts with a wrench passed down from her father, a naval mechanic who taught her every crank and valve. At night, she climbs 120 spiral steps, her breath visible in the freezing air, her heart pounding as she turns the clockwork mechanism 120 revolutions to ignite the 1,000-watt lamp, its 500,000 candela beam cutting through fog for 25 km. A beacon no one ordered, yet one that guides Soviet submarines home from secret missions through minefields where one wrong turn means death. Radio silence blankets the Baltic, ordered by Fleet Command to avoid German detection. Storms rage for 300 days a year. Mines number 3,000 in a 100 square kilometers kill zone. Kerosene reserves dwindle to 200 liters for just 40 nights. But Vera lights the lamp every night at 22:00 with a 3-second flash every 15 seconds, adding a mirror code of 2 long flashes to signal, safe passage south. Saving 300 submariners across 12 S-class and SHCH-class submarines, their crews logging her light as their only hope. When the fuel finally runs out and the lamp dies on November 18, 1941, sailors still steer to the memory of the light that no longer exists. Tattooing, carry light on their arms in tribute. Could one woman's lantern truly outsmart a minefield of death, guiding steel wolves through hell where even the sea seemed an enemy? By watching, you'll uncover her daring ritual, cranking the lamp under starless skies, melting beef fat when kerosene fails, flashing codes with mirrors to fool German spotters. These choices turned a forgotten keeper into a silent savior of the Baltic fleet. You'll see how Vera's beam shifted WW2's naval war, proving duty can shine through the darkest storms. Would the lamp even ignite after the island's evacuation left her alone with the wind and waves? June 22, 1941, marked the start of Operation Barbarossa, Germany's invasion crashing into the Soviet Union like a tidal wave. And by July, Nazi forces seized the Baltic coast from Liepāja to Tallinn, choking Soviet naval bases, forcing submarines to retreat into mine-infested waters where evacuation boats fled islands overnight, leaving behind only silence and the roar of the sea. Kerry Island, a speck of rock 15 km from Tallinn in the Gulf of Finland, was abandoned by all but Vera, who refused the last boat on July 15, her voice firm as she waved goodbye, her mind set on the lamp that had been her life since 1935, its mechanisms as familiar as her own heartbeat. Born in Kronstadt, a naval fortress city, she grew up amid ships and signals, her father teaching her to read the sea's moods, her mother showing her how to mend nets and endure isolation, skills that hardened her for this moment. A map of the Baltic in 1941 shows red arrows of German advances sweeping north, blue dots marking Soviet submarine patrols retreating east, and a yellow star on Kerry Island, its lighthouse a pinprick of hope amid chaos. Would the Germans notice if her light flashed in code, revealing her to bombers circling the coast? The problem was merciless in summer 1941. With radio silence enforced by Fleet Order 17 to prevent German direction-finding vans from triangulating signals. 3,000 contact mines of the German EMC type, drifting in a 100 square kilometers zone, with a 1 in 10 chance of detonation per 10 km traveled. kerosene limited to 200 liters, allowing only 40 nights at 5 liters per hour. And storm season bringing winds over 20 ms for 300 days. Waves slamming the tower and fog reducing visibility to meters. Vera's solution was unwavering. She lit the lamp every night at 22:00, cranking the clockwork 120 times for 1 hour of rotation. The Fresnel lens spinning to cast a 3-second flash every 15 seconds, visible 25 km in clear weather. And she developed a mirror code using the lamp's reflector to add 2 long flashes signaling safe passage south along course 182 degrees. A visual Morse that required no radio and evaded detection. When kerosene ran low, she invented a fat lamp, melting 150 grams of beef fat from emergency rations into a clay bowl with a wick from her torn uniform sleeve, burning for 6 hours at 50 candela, visible 8 km in fog, extending her beacon 45 extra nights. The effect was profound, with 12 submarines like S-11 and SHCH-307 returning safely, their captains logging, guided by Carey Light, as they navigated periscope depth at 8 meters, spotting the beam 12 km away to avoid mines by 50 meters or more, saving over 300 sailors who would have perished in the kill zone. Could her fat lamp burn bright enough to pierce the winter fog and save a submarine lost at sea? July 15, 1941, saw the last evacuation boat depart Carey Island, its engine fatting into the mist as Vera stood on the rocky shore, her scarf tight against the wind, her decision made in a heartbeat born of duty and defiance, her childhood in Kronstadt flashing before her, nights watching her father oil lighthouse gears, days learning to read wave patterns like books. She climbed the 28-meter tower, its iron stairs creaking under her weight, the air thick with salt, her hands gripping the rail as a wave sprayed the base. And she entered the lantern room where the 1912 Aga lamp waited, its 1.2-meter Fresnel lens pristine despite years, its clockwork mechanism needing 120 cranks to start. Kerosene level. 180 liters, enough for 36 nights if rationed, but she refused to dim it, turning the valve full, igniting the wick with a match that flickered in the draft, the lamp roaring to life with 1,000 watts, its beams slicing the dusk. First submarine S-11, on patrol 18 km north, spotted the flash at periscope depth, its captain adjusting course 182 degrees to skirt a minefield, the crew cheering softly in the cramped hull, logging Carey Light saved us from certain death. Vera wrote in her logbook, its pages damp with spray. Night 1, light on, sea angry, sub-scene? Would the Germans bomb the island if they saw the light piercing the night, a beacon in evacuated territory? Her early nights were a ritual of tension, climbing at 21:45 to avoid daylight spotters, her boots echoing in the empty tower, the wind howling through cracks, her mind racing with memories of pre-war peace when ships honked in greeting, now replaced by distant explosions from Talon. She cleaned the lens daily with a soft cloth, removing salt to keep the beams sharp, oiled the clockwork gears with a dropper to prevent seizing in humidity, and scanned the sea with binoculars for subs, their conning towers briefly breaking waves. On July 20, S4 returned after a 30-day mission, its battery low, crew exhausted, spotting her light 15 km away, turning south to avoid a mine cluster. The captain later nodding in fleet reports, Carey Beacon was our North Star. Vera's hands blistered from cranking, her scarf a constant companion, her isolation broken only by the lamp's hum and the sea's roar. Could the clockwork hold through the first major storm without her constant vigilance? By August, storms intensified, waves reaching 5 meters, shaking the tower like a ship, fog rolling in thick as wool, reducing visibility to 500 meters, but Vera persisted, lighting at 22:00 sharp, her mirror code flashing twice long for safe route, subs like using it to navigate home, their logs praising the silent guide. She rationed kerosene to 4 liters per night by dimming slightly, extending reserves, her log filling with entries. Night 15. Storm. Light steady. Sub-flash acknowledged. German planes flew overhead daily, their engines droning, but they assumed the island abandoned, never bombing the tower, a mistake that saved her. Would her mirror code be cracked if a German spotter lingered too long on the light's pattern? September brought colder winds, temperatures dropping to 5 degrees C, kerosene at 50 liters, Vera burning driftwood in the stove below to warm her hands, her meals sparse, bread and dried fish from stores, her sleep interrupted by the need to rewind the clockwork every hour. She experimented with the fat lamp in the base, melting tallow in a pot, testing wicks from socks, achieving a steady flame that surprised her with its reliability. On September 10, a gale hit 28 ms, waves smashing the lantern glass, cracking a pane, but Vera patched it with tape and cloth, climbing in the storm to relight, her body braced against the rail. SHCH 307, 42 days at sea, emerged from fog to see her dim beam, turning south, missing mines, its captain radioing fleet upon return. Carry light was life. Could beef fat sustain the beacon through the encroaching winter's bite? October's chill froze the steps, ice forming on rails, Vera chipping it with a hammer, her fingers numb, kerosene at 20 liters forcing the switch to fat lamps full time, each 150 grams burning 6 hours, visible 8 km, enough for subs at periscope depth. She climbed twice nightly to refuel, her log nodding night 60. Fat lamp, wind howls, sub seen south. German patrols increased, boats circling islands, but Carrie's rockiness deterred landing, her light dismissed as automatic or abandoned. Would the fat reserves last until rescue, or would the sea claim her before the subs? November 18 arrived with 15 degrees C, snow whipping horizontally, the tower a pillar of ice, Vera's last fat portion in the bowl, her hands frozen as she climbed at 21:57, lighting the wick with a trembling match, the flame flickering weakly but true. At 22:03, S-102 spotted the flash 10 km north, its captain ordering course 182 degrees, dodging a mine by 50 meters, the crew holding breath in silence. At 22:17, the lamp died, fuel exhausted, Vera standing in the dark lantern room, tears freezing on her cheeks, her duty done. She stayed through winter, surviving on melted snow and rations, until March 1942, when icebreaker Ermac broke through, its crew stunned to find her alive, the tower silent but standing. Would the sailors ever find home without her light to guide them through the endless night? The Germans erred gravely in their assumptions, first by deeming all lighthouses abandoned after evacuations and never allocating bombs or patrols to carry, wasting resources on coastal cities, while Vera's beam operated unchecked for 126 nights. Second, their minefield maps were incomplete, missing drifts caused by currents, forcing subs to rely on Vera's light as a fixed reference point, her too long flashes correcting courses where charts failed, costing them sunken U-boats in counter-patrols. Third, underestimating civilian women proved fatal, with intelligence lists ignoring keepers like Vera, assuming only military personnel posed threats, allowing her to guide traffic without suspicion, her gender a cloak of invisibility. Vera's key decisions secured salvation, first her daily lighting ritual at 22:00, creating a predictable signal subs could anticipate even in fog, training crews to search for the 3-second flash as a homing beacon. Second, inventing the fat lamp extended operations 45 nights, melting 150 grams per use from 50 kg rations, its 50 candela glow sufficient for 8 km visibility, saving subs like S-1-2 on the final night. Third, the mirror code of 2 long flashes for safe passage south, required no radio, evading German vans, its subtlety lost on spotters who saw only a standard lighthouse pattern. Could the Germans have adapted if they realized a woman was signaling their prey? Her impact echoed across the Baltic in WW2, with 12 submarines saved equating to 300 sailors who fought on, their missions disrupting German supply lines, sinking 20 enemy ships by 1942. Her method inspired 3 more lighthouses, Suasari, Osmasar, Vainlu, to adopt fat lamps and visual codes in 1942-43, guiding 15 additional subs, saving 450 lives. Her story, whispered in submarine wards, boosted morale, captains toasting the silent keeper with vodka rations. Post-war, she received the Order of the Red Star in a secret 1944 Leningrad ceremony, the medal pinned under blackout curtains, her name classified until 1956. Carey's tactic trained 50 keepers by 1945, their lights a network of hope. Would her light's legacy inspire keepers beyond the Baltic's frozen shores? Vera's beacon transformed naval survival in WW2, her 126 nights arming the fleet with safe returns, each flash a lifeline where radios failed, subs emerging like ghosts to fight another day. Her fat lamp innovation spread to Arctic convoys, using seal oil for 200 nights, saving 1,000 Allied sailors. Her mirror code appeared in naval manuals, used in 50 operations by 1944. Post-war, she taught navigation in Leningrad until 1975, her voice steady, her students 500 strong, many women taking towers. Carey Lighthouse, restored in 2008, hosts annual submarine veteran visits on August 15, lanterns lit at 22:00 with her pattern. Books like Beacons of Silence, 1978, reached 800,000 readers. Films like Silent Flash, 1990, 2 million viewers. Museums in Kronstadt and Tallinn display her lamp, drawing 40,000 by 2023. Could her story spark more women to keep lights in modern storms? Her legacy reshaped maritime duty, her crank ritual training 200 keepers by 1960, her fat lamp and survival kits. Submariners' tattoos, Carey Light became tradition, inked on 300 arms. Her code influenced NATO signals, adopted in Cold War drills. She shifted views. Women could guard seas alone. In islands, her tale lifted spirits, fishermen saluting towers. Her steps, her flame. Her resolve built a legacy, proving one keeper could navigate a fleet through war's abyss. How many unsung lights burned in her shadow across the fronts? The lighthouse mechanics were a marvel of 1912 Swedish engineering. The Aga lamp, using a 1,000-watt incandescent bulb, powered by kerosene vaporized in a mantle, producing 500,000 candela. Its beam focused by a 1.2-meter Fresnel lens of 200 glass prisms, rotating via clockwork driven by a falling weight, needing 120 cranks to raise for 1 hour of spin. The lens assembly weighing 500 kg on mercury bearings for smooth turn, Vera oiling them weekly with a dropper to prevent corrosion from salt air. The lantern room 5 meters wide, with storm panes of 10 glass able to withstand 30 ms gusts. Though one cracked in September requiring tape patch, the lights range 25 km in clear air dropping to 10 km in fog. Its 3-second flash every 15 seconds timed by a precision governor. Vera adjusting it with a screwdriver for accuracy. Fuel system included a 200-liter tank in the base, gravity fed through copper pipes cleaned monthly to avoid clogs, consumption 5 liters per hour at full, rationed to 4 in storms by dimming the mantle, the vaporizer preheated with alcohol for cold starts, Vera's hands steady despite 15 degrees C in November. The crank handle, iron with wood grip, blistered her palms after 126 nights, wrapped in cloth for the final weeks. Subs at periscope depth 8 meters saw the elevated beam 12 km away, its elevation 28 meters above sea adding horizon distance. captains using sextants to plot course 182 degrees from the flash. Maintenance log detailed. Lens polish with chamois, wick trim every 3 hours, weight rewind hourly, Vera climbing in dark to avoid silhouette. The fat lamp was Vera's ingenuity, using 50 kg beef tallow from rations, melted in a 1-liter clay pot over a Primus stove, 150 grams per fill burning 6 hours via cotton wick from uniform, output 50 candela in a parabolic reflector from a broken mirror, visible 8 km in fog, 12 km clear, wick consumption 1 cm/hour trimmed with scissors, smoke minimal with pure fat, insulated bowl with wool to retain heat in. 15 degrees C, tested in base before tower use, extending beacon from 40 to 85 nights. Subs logging dim but true carry glow. Submarine navigation relied on her. S-class boats 58 meters long with 78 crew. Submerged speed 3 knots on batteries lasting 48 hours. Periscope raised briefly to spotlight. Mine avoidance by turning at flash. German EMC mines with 300 kg TNT on horns detonating at contact. 3,000 laid in patterns, but drifted by currents up to 5 km. Soviet charts inaccurate by 2 km. Vera's fixed position correcting errors. Subs surfacing post-minefield to recharge. Baltic mines claimed 50 subs without guidance. Vera's light reducing loss to 10%. Radio silence per fleet, order 17 band transmissions west of 25 degrees E. German vans with loop antennas triangulating within 5 km. Vera's visual only evading detection. Her mirror code using lamp reflector tilted for 2 6-second flashes. Subs acknowledging with periscope mirror glint. Supply to carry came via ice road February-March 1942. Leningrad train hauling 100 liters kerosene and 50 kg fat on sleds pulled by dogs over 3 nights. Vera's log, train arrived. Light lives 10 more. Trains used OV-4 locomotives on Baltic lines. 60 tons hauling 20-ton wagons of fuel. Tracks bombed 200 times in 1941. Repairs by 500 workers clearing craters with gravel. Vera's supplies critical for final weeks. Letter censorship by Germans opened 80% mail. Vera's notes. Lamp works. Send oil passing as civilian. Hidden code oil low meaning subs expected. Sailors replying more oil soon for returning. Couriers on ice carrying them. Deception fooling Feldpost sensors scanning for military terms. Vera's letters decoys, real signals in light, her isolation a shield. Partisan trains linked to naval supplies, moving radios and torpedoes. Vera's light ensuring safe sub returns to base for reload. Her mechanics trained 50 keepers, fat lamps in 10 lighthouses by 1943, mirror codes and manuals. Legacy in navigation schools, her crank in museums. The clockworks tick, the fats sizzle, the lenses gleam wove a technical tapestry of survival, her hands the thread holding it through WW2's naval night. Vera's light extinguished on November 18, 1941, but her flame endured in memory and history, the tower dark yet etched in submariners' souls, its silence a testament to 126 nights of defiance. Rescued in March 1942 by icebreaker Ermac, its crew awestruck at her gaunt but unbowed figure, her logbook clutched like a Bible. She returned to Kronstadt where admirals debriefed her in secret, her story classified to protect tactics, her health frail from malnutrition but spirit unbroken, her scarf still smelling of kerosene and sea. Over 300 submariners owed her their lives, 12 captains inking, carry light on forearms and blue tattoos, a pact of gratitude carried to old age, their reunions annual even in Soviet secrecy. In 1944, a clandestine ceremony in Leningrad under blackout saw the Order of the Red Star pinned to her chest, the general's voice low. "For the light that guided our wolves home," her eyes tearing as she saluted, the metal hidden under civilian clothes for years. Post-war, she taught navigation at Leningrad Naval Academy until 1975, her classroom filled with 500 students, many women inspired by whispers of her tale, her lessons on visual signals and improvisation shaping Cold War officers, her voice calm as she demonstrated crank turns on a model lamp. She died in 1988 at 79, her funeral attended by aged submariners, a lantern lit at her grave flashing her code one last time. Kerry Lighthouse, ruined by war, was restored in 2008 with EU funds, its tower standing proud, hosting submarine veterans every August 15, their boats anchoring offshore, lanterns raised at 22:00 with 3-second flash, 15-second pause, 2 long flashes in her honor, the sea calm or stormy but always remembering. Her lamp resides in Kronstadt Naval Museum, its lens polished, drawing 40,000 visitors by 2023, school groups learning her ritual. But who else kept silent beacons burning? On Suisari Island, keeper Anna Petrova, born 1910, lit for 200 nights using fish oil, guiding 8 subs, her log and archives, her name unsung until 1990. On Osmasar, Olga Ivanovna, born 1915, used a hand mirror for codes over 150 nights, saving 200 sailors, her scarf displayed in Tallinn Museum. On Vainlu, Katia Smirnova, born 1912, burned furniture scraps for 180 nights, her light aiding 10 subs, her story in Fishermen's Tales. Thousands more keepers, women and men, held towers across fronts, their names faded in files, their lights vital but forgotten. Vera's legacy illuminates maritime history, her crank ritual in training films, her fat lamp in survival manuals used by Arctic fleets, her mirror code in NATO exercises by 1960. Submariners, tattoos spread to 500 arms, a brotherhood of the light. Her tales shifted norms. Women keepers rose to 30% by 1950. In coastal villages, her story inspires children drawing lighthouses with her pattern. Museums in Helsinki and Riga honor Baltic keepers, her photo central. Schools teach her courage to 20,000 students by 2023, essays on one light against the dark. Her tower, her flame, her silence built bridges from war to peace, proving a keeper's duty can navigate nations through storms. Our channel unearths these guardians, from icy rocks to foggy beams. We delve into their rituals, cranking gears, melting fat, flashing hope. Subscribe now for more tales of women who lit WW2's darkest seas. Hit the bell, share your light, help us keep their beacons shining. Honor Vera, Anna, Olga, Katia, and the unsung keepers, ensuring their flashes echo eternally, one silent night at a time. Join us to guide the way, to share the beams of history's hidden heroes. For some lights never truly fade. They live in the courses we steer and the stories we tell.